I'd have to say the most memorable moment I had was when a student at graduation came up to me and hugged me and said that they'd had the best 4 years in my class. They enjoyed my class and they learned a lot of French and felt that they could speak French pretty well.
Why did you decide to become a teacher?
When I was in college, I was going to choose to become a business major or a French major, and I really wanted to become a teacher, so I decided to stick with teaching French, and I was lucky enough to find Rockland High School hiring, and I decided to become a French teacher.
Do you think that Rockland has improved in the years that you've been here?
It has gone through many changes, Rockland High School, and I think every change it's made has become an improvement to the high school.
Have you taught any other classes besides French?
I actually did teach some other classes. At the beginning of the high school, I taught computers, and then I switched over to full-time French.
What was your favorite subject when you were in high school?
When I was in high school, my favorite subject was yearbook.
Who is your role model and why?
My role model is my sister. She lives in France, and ever since I've been young, she's been my role model.
Have you always wanted to be a teacher, and if not, what did you want to be?
Ever since I was little, I wanted to become a teacher. I used to play teacher when I was in elementary, and I knew I wanted to become a teacher.
Pause, ask that question again. No, actually let the tape go. I just don't want the porta potty as a background.
Okay.
Same question, pose it again.
Have you always wanted to be a teacher, and if not, what did you want to be?
Ever since I've been little, in elementary school, I've always wanted to become a teacher, so I've always had that desire to become a teacher.
What overall impression have the students at RHS left on you?
I'd have to say just being with the students has been a wonderful feeling. I've enjoyed being here so much. It's a fun experience.
Do you want your kids to attend RHS, and why?
Yes, I do. Rockland High School is a great school. There's a big bond here with the staff, and it's like one big family, and I would love for my kids to go to Rockland High School.
How much longer do you plan on staying at RHS?
I plan on staying here for the rest of my life. That's it. We're done.
That's a wrap.
Alrighty. Was that too fast?
You feel good with it?
Yeah.
All right. Good with me.
Off goes the mic.
So you want to look in the camera, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, can I slunch a little because I'm a little lazy?
You can be yourself. That's
All right.
what's fun about this. In any time.
Okay.
Okay, what would you say is the biggest change that Rockland High School has gone through in the 10 years that you've been here?
It's grown. When we first arrived here, there was about 300 students, maybe even less, and we had a really tight-knit community as far as teachers and as far as students went. And with the growth of the school now, it's just like any other major institution. It's half the new teachers, I don't know their names. At least 3/4 of the students, I don't know their names. And so obviously the biggest change has been growth.
What changes have you noticed in students in the past 10 years?
It's kind of a slippery slope there. Students, by and large, haven't changed, although many teachers say they have. Students are still students. All right.
Hold on just a second. You want to slide over here and sit right here? Since he's looking this way.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just human nature to look at your interviewer.
I'm letting her.
You want to scoot closer to the camera? Yeah, there you go.
That's much better.
No sitting.
No sitting?
No sitting.
Oh, okay.
Here we go.
Okay, why did you choose to teach at Rockland High School?
I first taught in Los Angeles only because I had emergency credential, and my wife, who is from Loomis, basically gave me about 2 to 3 years to get out of LA or I'd be divorced. So I worked my tail off, got the classes I needed. I interviewed for the job up here because there was a brand new high school coming in, and I was one of the fortunate ones who got the job. That's why I'm here,
Do you still plan on teaching here when your kids come into high school?
until I die.
Will your kids attend Rockland High School?
They probably will. It depends upon where the boundaries are drawn for the new high school. However, I kind of prefer that they teach here, although that could be a little bit weird too. So you never know. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it.
What years did you coach volleyball?
I coached 3 years in Los Angeles before I came here, and that's partly what helped me get the job here. they were looking for people who could not only teach but that could coach, because in the beginning years everybody had to do everything. There just wasn't a whole lot of surplus to go around. And so I coached 3 years of the boys volleyball in Los Angeles, and then I coached for the first 3 years, 93 to 95, pretty much here at Rockland High. And we fortunately had a lot of success.
Why aren't you coaching volleyball anymore?
I have 4 kids, my own kids, not the ones I work with, and they demand a lot of time and they demand a lot of money. And so I realized that coaching just wasn't paying the bills. I moonlight on a second job like many teachers do because my wife doesn't work, and so we live on one teacher's salary plus the extra income. And to be successful coaching here at Rockland High, especially in Placer County, it's very cutthroat. You have to hold summer camps, you have to do a lot of training outside of the season to be competitive. It's kind of like nuclear bombs. You have to have them because the other guys have them. And so you have to do the training outside. It's a year-long position.
Which would you say was your best year at RHS, if you have one?
The years blend in, but obviously the first year sticks out most in my mind. Number one, because we were under a microscope. The whole community, this was something very special for them. They had always been shifted over to Roseville and to Deloro, and finally they had their own community here, their own high school. And so we were really like zoo animals. People were coming to look at us every day, and they were trying to find fault in each and everything that we did. And in spite of all that adversity, we hung together as a staff and an administration, and we set a really good framework for the school. And so I'm most proud of that year. Not that it was my best year, but I'm proud of what we accomplished.
Has your schedule changed any in the 10 years that you've been here, or is it pretty much the same?
Well, it's still Spanish. The thing is, the first year there was only freshmen, so I had to teach Spanish 1. And fortunately, as we've grown into a 4-year high school, I've been able to move up to where I teach the upper levels of Spanish. I have nothing against freshmen. It's just simply I like more cerebral conversations. I like to be able to talk about things that are a little bit more advanced, and Spanish 3 allows me that.
What overall impression has the students at Rockland High School left on you?
A very good impression. I came from a largely Hispanic community, and Hispanic students have their skills and their weaknesses. And one of their great weaknesses is academics don't seem to be as important sometimes overall as a community as they are to other communities. One of their great strengths was that they're very, very warm and friendly. And it was almost a complete switch when I came here to Rockland High. I wasn't used to the type of things that students say. You know, the first time a student told me, "Shut up," even though they were just kidding, it really took me aback, and it took me a while to, I guess, I don't know how else to say it, but lower my standards, chill out, whatever you want to call it. I got to the point where I realized these are good kids. They just operate in a different fashion. But what I really like about the kids here at Rockland High is that they are just easygoing, genuinely kind, genuinely caring about each other. I don't see the type of students picking on other students that I see at other places. I don't feel the kind of frustration or fear that I'm going to get egged or that I have to have my phone number unlisted here at Rockland High. When I see students outside of the campus, it's always a positive encounter. And so the students here really are wonderful to work with. They don't always work as hard academically as I would like, but as human beings, just lost my mic.
What types of things do you do to be able to relate to your students? How do you relate to your students in your classes? What types of things do you do?
Well, humor. I love humor because I always feel that as long as the students are laughing, they're engaged. A lot of teachers have the misconception that as long as your students are quiet, good things are going on. But quiet doesn't mean anything. It means that they're comatose. They're actually doing exactly what you don't want them to do. So quiet isn't always good. I prefer to loosen them up, if you will, with a little bit of humor. And even though that wastes a little bit of time, in the long run, it accomplishes more because nobody's going to have a student's attention 100% of the time, no matter what you do. I just go for percentages. And so it killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Number 1, the students are more attentive, and number 2, we have a good time. Because I'm a human being too, and I don't like working any more than the next guy. So I want to have a good time, gosh darn it, while I'm on the job. Okay? Muy bien.
Who was your role model growing up that maybe inspired you to be
Well,
a teacher?
I never had the hero type thing going on, but it's going to sound corny. I don't know if it's going to sound corny, but my dad was a wonderful individual, and it's not like I aspired to be a teacher. I was actually going to be a lawyer or something that paid a lot better. But then I realized if I went through law school, I'd have to work. And a lot of work. What I mean by that is 80, 90 hours a week. The money's there, but you never have the time to enjoy it. And that's not a life for me. I kind of stepped into teaching accidentally. I was just doing it to pay some bills at the time, and I liked it, and I stuck with it. So that's why I'm a teacher. Sure.
Taylor.
Question, off the record. Did you have more hair when you started 10 years ago?
Always got to get in a shot on the baldy, huh? No, is this? Are we being taped right now?
Yeah, but it's just for fun.
Yeah, I had a little bit more hair. I started to lose it actually when I was about 19, 20, but it happened so slowly and gradually that I could hide it. But I'll never ever do the comb over. I ain't fooling nobody.
That's good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That went well. You're an asshole.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. All right, sir.
We have one more. I gotta get you back.
Do you have to mic her? How are we going to hear her questions?
Just you, your answers.
Oh, dear. So do I need to rephrase the question as I answer it?
Well, she asked you the question, and then off the top of your head, genuinely, you answered the question.
Okay. You're not going to put in a dummy question then later, right?
Not the minute
Okay.
Although, probably most likely later on.
Yes. I don't know. He's awful busy with basketball right now. He bowled in the state tournament a couple weeks ago.
Tell him me and Mike are going to kill him.
Okay.
Take one little shuffle step to your right. And now a half a step. Go the other side. Right there. Actually, one half a step to your left again. I'm sorry, you're right.
My other left.
Now a mini step to your right. There. Perfect. That's it. Now turn your shoulders. Now look at the camera. Perfect. Are you
Should be
ready?
a photographer.
No pressure. None.
No faces at me.
Tape is rolling. Questions. Let it rip.
How is RHS different from when it first opened?
When Rockland High School first opened, I used to think of us as sort of a glorified junior high. We had no students that were over 15. The parking lot was empty because we had no students that could drive. And it was very small, less than 300 students. So it's changed tremendously just in the sense of growth and the ages of the students. That made a significant difference.
Have the students changed?
I don't think that the students have changed. One of the things that I remember is that when we only had freshmen, that required the students to really step up and do a lot of leadership roles that would have been at a regular high school like Rockland is now. Those duties would have fallen to juniors and seniors. And so many of our students, that was a really good thing because they stepped into leadership roles. For other students, that wasn't so good because they didn't have the peer pressure, the seniors setting the standard. And so that in that respect, I don't know that the students have changed, but the roles of the students have changed when we went from having only one grade here at Rockland High to having 4.
Has the staff changed?
I think the staff has changed because when we first opened the high school, we worked really, really hard and we had a lot of fun doing it. And as a result, we were very, very closely connected. We were a very tight unit. We ate lunch together. Whenever there was a planning meeting, everybody showed up on time. We would bring snacks. We did all those kind of family-like things as a staff. And now our staff is so big and so spread out and so unconnected that, when Rockland High first opened, I thought of our staff as an extended family. Now I could probably be gone for a month and most of the staff wouldn't even notice.
Has your job changed?
My job has changed a lot. I was the first attendance clerk at Rockland High School, and they always said they hired me just because of my last name, being Cutts, and that was, to be in the attendance office. I did that for 2 years. Then I moved to the counseling center, and 3 years ago I moved to the career center. So my job has changed a lot. In terms of the demands of the job, I would just say that when you have only, 275 kids to look after, it's a significant difference than to have 2,200 students to look after. And in both roles, all of the students at Rockland High were my students.
Pause for a second. I think there's a bell coming. I could be wrong. Doesn't the bell ring this time?
Supposed to.
Yeah. Background in 5. Anytime.
If you could be anyone in the world, who would you be?
Well, I used to say Irma Bombeck because I always admired her writing style. But lately I've been thinking I'd like to be Lawrence Funderburk. You see, I could hang out with the Sacramento Kings, get paid a lot of money, do a lot of charity work, and not really have to do too much else. So I think that would be a pretty good person to be.
Okay, what has been the most interesting thing to happen during your 10 years now?
Without a doubt, being able to begin and develop and continue to work with the Assist-A-Grad program, our scholarship program here at Rockland High School. When Rockland High opened, Placer High School celebrated their centennial, which meant they had 100 years of history to base scholarships on. And I really wanted that for Rockland High. And so with Mr. Spears and Mr. Sampson's help and direction, they allowed me to develop a scholarship program on our campus that is beginning to actually rival some of our schools who've been in existence for 20, 30, or even 50 years. And that has been a real joy to go out in the community and find people who would like to honor our students' achievement by writing a check.
If you could change one thing about this school, what would it be?
I would like to see us try to create some small schools within our big school. And whether that would be going to academies like they have at the middle schools, or maybe even doing something really outrageous like putting school students in shifts, like a 6:30 shift, an 8:30 shift, a 10:30 shift, maybe a swing shift for seniors. But I'd like to see us explore some ways to have a smaller school family within our huge enrollment. I'd like to see us go back to having an advisory program. I loved Correctives because it was a good vehicle for the Career Center to get information to students. And I really feel like growth is an excuse that we use all the time, and sometimes it's a valid excuse for the things that we don't do anymore here at Rockland High, but I'd like to see us explore some ways to get those back.
For what reasons have you stayed?
Well, my children are in school, and I really like to be on the same schedule as my children. I truly appreciate working with teens. I love working with teenagers, and I really enjoy this atmosphere here at Rockland High. We have great students, and I get to hang out with them all day long. And I'm very fortunate that I don't have to make a lot of money to support my family.
Who was the most emotional class as a whole?
Class of 1998, and that's probably because my son was in that class, and those kids were always at my house. They thought I was really cool because I'd let them rearrange the furniture and set 4 or 5 stereos up outside so they could blast out at the pasture because I live out in the country. And they were always at my house underfoot, and now they're sending me graduation announcements from college and wedding invitations, and it's getting very expensive buying Hallmark cards.
Have rituals changed from the first year to now?
Well, in the beginning we had no traditions, and so everything that we wanted to do we had to create, whether it was, we're going to do a rally. Well, what was the tradition of a rally? We didn't have one, so it all had to be created. I would say that we've come a long way in terms of having no traditions to having some. I think it would be fun to have, some more. We had a fight song originally, and then the tune got changed, and so the words didn't fit, so that kind of fell by the wayside. But I like the traditions that we have. I would just like to see us develop some more.
Do you still connect with kids the same way as you used to?
I think I'm I'm getting better. I think I like to really learn from the lessons that students teach me, and so if it's a lesson plan we try and it just totally bombs, I don't use that lesson plan again. And so I think I'm getting better. I enjoy the students as much as I ever did, but I think I'm learning more and more from them, and so I think it's an improvement over 10 years ago.
What things do you hope are added to Rockland High School as the school years go on?
Well, I'd like to see us add more traditions. I'd like to see us have a fight song that you could recognize as being Rockland High's fight song that all the kids knew the words to. I'd like to see us continue to you know, be student-centered. I'd like to see us go back to answering every question with what's best for kids and not what costs less, what'll take us the least time, what'll require the fewest amount of teachers. And when Rockland High opened, every question was answered, what's best for kids? And I'd like to see us go back to that.
What do you expect of later years?
I think students are always going to be like they are today. I think you're always going to find a student body at Rockland High that is smart, that's savvy, that's curious, that has great expectations of the adults in their lives. And I just think that Rockland High's future is that it's going to continue to be a really good place. And I'm very happy that I've been a part of it for 10 years.
Sweetness.
Good job.
And shave like 2 chins off, okay? Okay. Oops. Yeah, thanks.
And feel free anytime.
Okay.
First question.
What interests you about teaching, and how long have you been teaching?
Well, I've been teaching, this is my 5th year at Rockland High School, but I started my career in education as a parent volunteer, and that was about 10 or 11 years ago. And I just wanted to stay around kids, my own kids, and kept seeing all these other great kids, and so I worked at becoming a secretary, and then after that I decided, well, I think I'll make the big step and become a teacher.
Who is your role model and why?
That's a kind of tough question because I just admire a lot of people. There's been some great people in my life, and I think what's great about these people and why I admire them and why I would like to be like them is that they care about people. They have a real instinct for who we are as people, and they know how to bring out the best in us. And if I could get those abilities, I think, that would just be wonderful.
What are the strengths or challenges you faced throughout Rockland High School career?
Oh, there have been a few challenges. One of the biggest challenges for me was when we opened the school. I was really kind of tough because I wanted everything to be just right. And Rockland High School was a dream for many people in our community. They, and matter of fact, a lot of people who had worked on the committee to get the school there, get it built and have it happen, their children never even got to attend Rockland High School. Because that dream started way before the students who did attend Rockland High School got to attend. And the biggest challenge then was making it this dream that people wanted. I remember working in the front office. I worked 4 hours a day, and that was really hard to do all the tasks in that 4 hours because Mrs. Cutts, she worked 4 hours as the attendance clerk, and I worked 4 hours as the receptionist. And so when she was gone, I did attendance, and when I was gone, she did the front office. And there were just a lot of jobs with very few hands to do those jobs. Then after that, they added some assistant principals the next year, and that's when I became a secretary. the challenges of establishing discipline policies and detention. And I mean, it totally looked different, 10 years ago than it does today. Then for myself personally, when I decided to become a teacher, it was to work all day and then go to school full-time at night. And that was a huge challenge. Well, at one point I realized that I may not get a teaching job at Rockland High School, which was my dream. And so I had to kind of face that reality. Well, I did get a teaching job at Rockland High School, so here this dream came true, and the biggest challenge was, oh my God, now I really have to do this. Oh, what am I going to do? And the first subject I taught was computer programming. I didn't know a lot about computer programming. So that first year was unbelievably challenging for me. And the students were so awesome and just made everything so much fun that then I realized it was all worth that challenge.
Why did you become interested in teaching child development?
That's an excellent question, because I never imagined myself teaching that. My original degree was in foods, and there's a lot of creativity and stuff like that involved in food and food service and home ec. But I had classes in child development and the family and psychology, and I thought, oh, okay, I'll, someday do a little bit more with that. Well, the first year that I taught, I actually taught another school to do my student teaching, and they gave me child development. It was an eye-opening experience because I had all these big people caring about a whole bunch of little people. And also using the textbook, I was learning new things that I had forgotten about being a parent. And together with that excitement from the students and my knowledge, I realized that was the most valuable experience I had in my life. So after I taught computer programming and computer lit here at Rockland High School, I asked Mr. Spears if we could try child development. And people signed up for it, and they have just made it a great class.
Has there been any major changes to Rockland High School since the beginning of the year when it opened, and what are they?
Oh gosh, the changes. Every day there is a new change at Rockland High School. Originally, when we opened the school, I think we had 7 periods a day. And then the following year, we had the most unusual schedule. It was not a blue-silver schedule. Students took 7 classes, and they rotated. So one day you would take, we had these schedules, A, B, C, D, E, and you'd have to figure out, is it today an A day, a B day, a C day? And what would happen is sometimes your 7th period was your first block of the day. And then you just kind of took these classes in order, hoping you remembered, because if you'd been absent one day, you really got kind of messed up. But this was, some good philosophy behind it to help students with that block schedule. Well, then the following year we did this type of block schedule, the blue-silver. And at first it was a little bit difficult for people, and I got a lot of phone calls in the office from parents about how challenging it was. But the students, they get it really fast and they understand it, and that has worked out wonderful, I think. Other challenges now, I'm sure everyone has said, growth. Their school has just, we're bursting at the seams because we've grown so much, and there's challenges with that, facilities, classrooms, all those types of things that we need for children to learn.
What are the benefits that you hope your students will get out of child development?
I tell the kids lots of times, your grade may be an A, but if you don't have respect for children, you're not an A student in child development. I think that would be my primary focus. I think when you have respect for children, your life becomes beautiful because you see things a little bit differently. You see yourself differently too. And I hope students will walk away from my class with that and know that they can make a difference in a child's life when they give that child respect.
How do you balance your teaching career with your private home life, with your own family and children?
You'd think I'd have learned a few things from child development. That is sometimes very difficult to balance. teaching with your home life and your family, because teaching takes up a lot of time. It's not just at school time, it's at home time. And it's also, everywhere I go, I'll see something, I go, oh, this would be good in my classroom. So I'm constantly thinking about the classroom and what I could do to improve. How to balance it? Well, I feel fortunate that I live close to where I work, so that gives me a little bit of time and a little bit of flexibility. One thing that's been great is that I had 2 of my children attend Rockland High School, so I always felt I was kind of nearby, and we could balance things together. Some of the greatest things is being able to ride to work every day with your child and hear about their life. So that's really been wonderful. And then the school's a part of our community, and that's a part of my life, so I kind of try.
What is the best thing about teaching at Rockland High School and why?
The best thing about Rockland High School, the people and the care that people have for each other. The parents of the children, they really care about their kids. Every time you turn around, somebody is doing something to help someone else. One of the greatest things about my classroom, I find, is that I hear kids compliment each other. And they don't even know each other. They'll say, oh, wow, you got a new haircut. That looks really great. And I think that is what helps make the world turn around, is when people help each other. We also have all these great programs at this school. It's phenomenal. You can become anybody you want to be at Rockland High School.
What is your favorite activity that you teach the class for little children?
My favorite activity in child development, that's kind of tough because, matter of fact, I just came from class and we are introducing preschoolers to the class where kids have grown their own children. And yeah, there are life-size posters and they're not the real kid, but you should see what kids say about their children that they've created. They know everything about them, and that's really a lot of fun. Another great activity that kids do is they create this calendar of the child's first year of life. And what they put together is absolutely amazing. It takes me forever to grade them because I got to read everything, but just phenomenal work.
If you could spend a day with anybody, who would it be and why?
If I could spend the day with anybody, who would it be and why? I can think of a lot of people that made a difference in my life that I haven't seen in a while, and I'd love to be with them. Just a couple days ago, I got a card from a pen pal. She worked at the high school that I attended. And so now this is like 25, 30 years ago. And we've stayed in touch. She lives in North Carolina and she's a teacher. And the things that she wrote me were just about the same things that I was feeling. And I thought, I wonder what it's like to be in her classroom clear across the country. Are they doing the same things there that we're doing here? I think that would be really cool to find out. But I can't get on a plane and fly to North Carolina this weekend. But all the people I've met in my life, I'd like to kind of know where they're at. And I think what's really exciting now that I've taught here a couple of years, I've had a couple students come back to see me. And that's really neat to see what they're doing. And that just makes it all meaningful and why we're really here.
What was the transition like from switching from a secretary to a teacher?
The year that I decided to work on my teaching credential was a big step, because I knew that if I was going to do that, it was a goal that I was going to have to do a lot of homework. And the first year I was a secretary and going to school at night, I didn't sleep. I think I slept a couple hours every night, and that was really tough. And I thought, when I start teaching, I'll get a little break from this. Well, no, you don't get a break. Your first couple of years are really hard. You basically work and grade papers and sleep and eat, and the sleep is the smallest part of your day. So that was very challenging, working here at Rockland High School and making that transition. There's some other little things like, you never get a chance to, call someone when you want to in the middle of the day if you need to make a doctor's appointment, or lunch, if students come in at lunchtime, you kind of give up your lunchtime for that. But those transitions were small in the whole scheme of things, and it certainly got a lot easier and well worth it.
What do you least and most like about teaching?
What I least like, I guess, is the homework. You know, and I'd like to say, well, I'm not going to offer any homework. I'm not going to require it. That would just be great. But on the other hand, there are things that I see that are amazing that kids do through their homework. Some of the things that they put together. I know how hard they're working to learn and to be better and to be better people for children and in their own lives. So I know that it's worth that. And the greatest thing that I love about Rockland High School are the students. You know, the people who come in as ninth graders and they grow up as young adults and they leave here, and then I see them all over my community. You know, I go into the store and they take my credit card when I buy my clothes, you know, or my groceries. I'm just so impressed, and they're always so nice to me. And I think I feel really proud to be a part of this school. Yeah, that was long. Okay. Oh.
Yeah,